Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Albert, and earlier this afternoon, I sold another movie, made another $4.16, so that's $9 in 2 days. Regardless, I'm walking over to the thrift store. I'm in the thrift store. I see a Sector 9 longboard. If I haven't already, thank you for watching the channel. I really appreciate it. It's really cool to see stuff grow, and the channel is doing just that, so I'm very excited about it. I don't Doesn't take much to get me super excited, I guess. I got some lemon pepper seasoning recently, for example, that made me very excited. That was super fun. Anyways, I also found some really good meat, some Milanese, and I have to I've been eating a lot of meat cuz I've been working out a lot for this upcoming thing, and so it's kind of a nightmare, honestly. I don't like being hungry at all, and I get really grumpy, and I feel bad for all the people around me because I get kind of grumpy. So there's that. Regardless, we're talking about my experience that I had today at the thrift store, which again is now would be the third time if I've said it twice already. But thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. This is Vlogs About Nothing. My name is Albert, and I live a life that I try to do absolute like minimal of what I could possibly do. I find that it's both ironic and satirical. I think at some point in my life, out of all the things I've ever attempted, if this is when this becomes the one thing to have any kind of success for me, it will just sort of complete the circle of the irony Albert Circle. I just want to talk about when I went to the thrift store, I found a longboard, and it was fun because I like boarding. So, doesn't matter. It could be penny boarding, short boarding, long boarding, wheeled boarding. I've done sand. I've been sandboarding before. Oh my goodness. With the boards that have wheels on them and you can go down dirt hills, that's really fun. It's really dangerous, especially when you're doing that stuff out on the desert, 9 Mile Hill. Yeah, it can be kind of dangerous, but I like boarding. Since I'm from the desert and I don't very much like the ocean, to me, these are all just big islands. The world is mostly made up of water. So I'm just happy to not be anywhere near that in terms of I would spend 100 days out in the desert before I spent 100 days near a coastline. No offense to all my coastal cities out there. I've been there, I've seen it. I fell in the ocean one time in Outer Banks in OBX. What a super bougie thing to say. The one time I fell in the ocean was in North Carolina at OBX. It's a very, very, very privileged thing to say. It was also the only single time I've ever spent in a house that had an elevator. So, yeah, that was an interesting summer of my life. But I don't surf. I don't wakeboard. I don't do boarding on water. I don't do boarding on frozen water either. So I don't ski or have not been snowboarding. But my entire life, when attached to the ground with wheeled devices, I'm good to go. I like to skate. I like to roller skate. I like to inline skate. I guess I like to ice skate. That's not true. I like to ice skate. Ice skating's cool. But you see where I'm going. Earlier, I see a Sector 9 longboard, and it happened to be the longboard, and I was telling the sales associate, because I'm always talking to them. They're like my friends because I'm always there shopping. And so I'm talking to the woman, and I'm explaining to her that the same longboard that I found this morning at the thrift store was the same longboard that I spent half of my first student financial aid check disbursement on as an incoming freshman at the University of New Mexico in 2006, 18 years ago, at our local skate shop here that's still open in a real bougie part of town for well over $300. Complete deck, bearings, truck, wheels, grip tape, all of it. A little more than 300 bucks. A little more than $400 for sure. That was then money. I'm assuming that 20 years of inflation has turned then money into closer to like $500 for sure, if not more. And anyways, it was $10. So I'm like pumped about that. Obviously, because with what little credit or money that I do have, is sort of like I can. I got that $10. I had a coupon too, so it was even cheaper than that. But I have it posted to sell for, I think I'm asking $50 for it. It's a bamboo longboard. It's sick. I jumped on it and I used it myself, and it was, again, it's like anything in life that you've always enjoyed doing: riding a bicycle, playing a sport, playing a video game, playing a sport, anything. And I really like boarding. I really like longboarding. Longboarding more than shortboarding. And long street boarding as opposed to shortboarding. Again, I grew up in skate parks. I mean, it's cool. It's cool to think that I did that. That I was 10 and 12 and 11 and 13, and I did frequent skate parks, and I was skating, hardcore. My buddies and I would wait for Thrasher the magazine to come out and religiously go buy all of the VHS tapes that we could to see all the skate tricks that we could. 411, we did tech decks. We still do tech decks. Tech decks is like an entire organized competition now. I mean, I don't know. I'm a Muska kid, you know. Those were my first my Chad Muskas and my Osiris, my first DCs. I like skating, and I remember, again, going into college, that longboard. I put more miles on a longboard than some people do on cars. I used to I used to ride that longboard everywhere. I used to ride that longboard on campus at UNM. I was one of like just a handful of people who had them because it was kind of niche 24 years ago, honestly, which is also why they were so expensive too, and why they still are, honestly. If you buy them brand new from skate shops, any skate gear is expensive, and just like any surf gear and snow gear is expensive on the mountain, but yeah, I like longboarding. It was really cool to be 36 years old and still be able to hop on the board like I did when I was like 18. Honestly, I that's kind of the attitude that you have as a skater. And just, again, like anything else, except it happens to be skating. I've seen it. Has anyone seen Tony Hawk? Like one of the oldest, like this dude kills it. You don't like it doesn't matter how old you are, and what matters is if you were a skater, you're always a skater, and you know that because you see a board. And it was interesting because I got the board and I'm walking out the store and I'm like, I wonder how long. And I didn't even finish the sentence in my mind before the board was on the ground and my foot was pushing forward. I was like, whoa, I guess all those years of skating really did sort of have a tangible benefit in that I'm nearly 40 years old and I'm just, riding around on my longboard. And like, well, like, not just, I mean, I didn't fall and I still know how to ride. Again, I'm not super trickster in that. That's not true either. I'm down to start doing tricks when I first get on the board, but earlier it was a whole crowded parking lot of people and stuff, and I was trying to get to the post office. I went to the thrift store before I went to the post office today. So that was that. I hope that everyone's having a really super chill weekend and that you guys had a really great week. Hopefully summer will end soon. I'm not saying hopefully, I'm just saying, please, sun, go away. It's really hot. This is the first summer that I've spent sober here in the northern part of the desert in a very long time. And as much as I appreciate the different kind of heat, I think I'd still much rather be in 120-degree dry heat as opposed to this like real arid Arkansas-esque humid kind of a really you can't breathe outside heat. I again, just being from the desert and having the two different perspectives, I'd rather just straight be on fire. Like because I can cool from abject heat. I can it just requires cooling. You know, here in New Mexico it's like half of your face is sweating. Earlier when I walked, it was like my entire because there's hair on my face now. It's disgusting. I'm like my whole head is sweating. My face, my ears, my hair like on my face and on my head. It's just getting old is really sus. And you just wonder, like, you're like, wait a second, where did all this sweat come from? You know, like, seriously, like, I don't understand. It wasn't a thing when I was younger. Or maybe it was. It probably was, except it wasn't because I didn't have a beard that looks like a raccoon skin on my face. Not a raccoon. I just said raccoon, but I meant skunk because skunks have black and white hair patterns. I just seen a skunk recently and it was the coolest thing ever. Seeing skunks in the wild in the city is akin to seeing a spaceship if you're not from the desert. Meaning that if you're from the desert, you've seen many spaceships. But, like, all I'm saying is that I seen a skunk recently, and I had to stop all of what I was doing to make sure that my version of the Matrix was going well. And so far as I know, it was because across the street, wouldn't you know, as I'm walking to the store, there was this skunk just doing his thing, just walking down the sidewalk. And I was like, oh, well, hello there, skunk. You know, and there's obviously we live next a couple miles from a river from the Bosque, so I'm sure obviously he came from somewhere in the wild, but still, when they make it out this far, it's just real interesting because also you see coyotes and bunnies, and so you just always kind of hope that like the predators aren't gonna find the prey as quick in the city, and often you're like find yourself in maybe it's like a homeward bound journey kind of a situation, and it's sort of like this skunk was just trying to get home, you know, and this coyote was making it difficult, and now it's a whole story. But I hope that you guys have a really good night, and thank you very much for watching my channel. I really appreciate you guys. Bye.